How's it, everyone? Welcome to another court checklist right here on OpenCourt. So today we're doing another top 5. Today's top 5 is my top 5 favorite spin strings in tennis. This is something I've been wanting to talk about for a while. I love polyester strings, especially. I love strings that help me get spin, and that's one of the main things I look for when testing strings, so I thought I would share my top 5 favorite spin strings with you guys today. Okay, so spin. Many people have different standards or criteria when they grade spin. So if a string that you think gets great spin isn't on this list, chances are my criteria is different than yours, or maybe I just haven't tried it yet. There are many strings out there that I haven't tried yet, so keep that in mind. Before we get into my top 5, I want to give a couple honorable mentions. Number 1, because my top 5 are all shaped strings, I wanted to give a shout out for a round string that I think gets a lot of spin and that I really like. Right, so honorable mention number 1, my favorite round poly that gets a lot of spin is the Solinco Outlast. Now the Ytex Poly Tour Fire was a very close second. Both are very good, both snap back well, both are very slippery, but I think the Solinco Outlast just plays a tad better. And so the Solinco Outlast takes my honorable mention spot for my favorite round poly that gets spin. And second honorable mention, because my top 5 are all polys, I wanted to give a shout out to my favorite non-poly for spin. I deliberated a lot, but my favorite non-poly that gets the most spin, in my opinion of course, is the Technofiber Multi-Feel. Now, I've tried this string a few times in the past. I haven't done a full review of it on this channel. I plan to in the future, but I think that this string gets the most spin out of any nylon multi-filament string that I've ever tried. I didn't want to include Technofiber's Poly Fusion strings because those also include polyester. This uses what's called a multi-mono technology. It has a monofilament nylon core surrounded by many strands, and it has an anti-abrasion coating, so it actually snaps back fairly well, and because it feels like a multi-filament, it maintains that snapback and provides decent spin for a multi-filament. So the Technofiber Multi-Feel, it's also fairly cheap, so if you guys haven't tried it, give it a try. I really like that string. Alright, so now let's get into the top 5. Starting with number 5 spin string on this list is the Dunlop Black Widow. I did a review of this string recently, and I'm surprised to say, but it's already on my top 5 list for spin strings. There may be some recency bias involved with my list here, I will admit. A lot of these strings on my list I've tried recently, but the Dunlop Black Widow really bites the ball. Even when I was stringing it, the edges are very sharp, and I really felt the ball biting even in my tighter Dunlop CX200, which has a tighter 16 by 19 pattern. It doesn't provide a lot of free spin out of that racket, but the Dunlop Black Widow, I really saw my kick serves bouncing up high and the ball nosediving. So the Dunlop Black Widow, it's on the deader side, but that encourages advanced players to really swing out. So this is my number 5 string. Number 4 is a string that I have not done a review yet on this channel, but I do plan to because it is number 4 on this list, and that is the Prince Vortex. This came out a few years ago, and it is probably the softest string in my top 5. It's very soft, very comfortable, but it's very sharp, and it gets a ton of spin. And because it's so soft and elastic, it actually stretches and snaps back very well. Even in tighter patterns, I think the Prince Vortex is a great spin string, and it's also very comfortable. And I think it is ideal for those tighter strings, string patterns. For example, like the Prince Phantom 1820, which I am planning to test it in the future. The Prince Vortex gets power, gets spin. It doesn't quite maintain its snapback and tension as well as some of the other strings on this list because it's softer, but in terms of just pure spin, the Prince Vortex is up there. So give it a try if you guys want a softer, spin-friendly option. Number 3 spin string on this list is another string that I haven't done a review yet, but it's one of my favorite, and I will do a review on this string very soon, I promise, and that is the Technofiber 4S. This string used to be called the Black Code 4S, but they just dropped the Black Code name so it wouldn't be confused with the original Black Code, which also does get a lot of spin. But I think the 4S, because it's four-sided, that's what the 4S stands for, It gets a lot more spin than the original black coat. It's also a little bit crisper, a little bit more control oriented, and I really like this string. It is a little bit stiff. I like stiffer strings, but it doesn't bother me. And this string is great in a more powerful, more open pattern racket. I love it in the Extreme series. It gets that great control and it helps to corral the power of those powerful frames. The 4S also maintains tension very well. It is stiffer, but Technofiber uses a thermal core technology. I forgot exactly what it's called, but it helps to maintain the tension. So the 4S, I will do a review on it soon, but it is a great string and it provides a ton of bite. Number 2 is the Vsquare. I reviewed this string last year and it is one of the highest, if not the highest rated spin string on the Tennis Warehouse University website. And I deliberated very hard between the Vsquare and also the V-Torque Tour. Both get tremendous amounts of spin. In fact, I think the V-Torque Tour gets better spin and ball bite when it's freshly strung, but it loses its snapback in the same day. I couldn't get that string to produce the same amount of kick on my kick serves the second day as I did the first. The Vsquare does a much better job of maintaining snapback. And I forgot to say this at the beginning, but I'm only including one string per brand in my top 5, which is why I didn't include both the V-Torque Tour and the Vsquare. I think the Vsquare gets a ton of spin and it maintains that spin over a longer period of time compared to the V-Torque Tour. The Vsquare does play a little bit more muted, a little bit more dead. It's not quite to the level of the RPM Blast, but the Vsquare maintains its snapback much better and it is one of the best pure spin strings on the market. And lastly, number 1, my number 1 favorite spin polyester string on the market. If you guys have been watching this channel for a long time and if you guys know me, you might have guessed it already. That is the Ytex Quadra Twist. This string just does it all. In fact, in terms of pure spin, I would actually say the Vsquare might be a little bit better because the edges are very sharp. The Ytex Quadra Twist, the edges are a little bit more smooth, a little bit more rounded off, but because of that twisted nature, it really digs into the felt of the ball and produces a ton of spin. And overall, it just maintains tension well. It's soft and comfortable and has a decent amount of power, but it's not super springy. It's crisp and lively, so it's good for touch shots. It's just overall, the Ytex Quadra Twist is my favorite spin-oriented string. That's what it's marketed as, spin-oriented. And so the Quadra Twist takes my top spot. I love it as a hybrid. I love it as a full bed. It continues to snap back for a very long time. And I think that it's being talked about a lot more these days, but I still think it's flying under the radar. So if you guys haven't tried it, try the Ytex Quadra Twist. I do have a discount code for you guys if you guys want to try any of Ytex's strings in my description. So give that a try. So those are my top 5, the Dunlop Black Widow, Prince Vortex, Technofiber 4S, Vsquare, and the Ytex Quadra Twist. Let me know if you guys have any other spin strings you recommend. I know Vice Cannon Ultra Cable is another very highly rated spin string on Tennis Warehouse. I have not tried that, so I promise I will give it a try soon. Let's have a discussion in the comments below and leave your favorite spin-oriented string down in the comments. Thank you for watching my top 5 spin strings right here on Open Court. If you guys like this content, be sure to overhead smash that like and subscribe button, and I'll see you on an Open Court.